you wanna go to adoration?
Hey everyone,
Can I ask you
guys,
to hide this
thank you for your support. Hope you're having a good day, first and foremost. And I hope your day, night, wherever you're at, will turn around if you're not having a good day. I'm just going to share with you a little thank you, this is what I've learned, and this is what I plan to do with the channel in this video, is 100 subscribers. 101 at the time I'm counting it, but I said I'd make another video at 100 subscribers. And I said I would make this Lego set, which I showed you in the last video. It's Captain Rex in a Y-Wing microfighter. If anyone doesn't know, it's from Star Wars. And this is, doesn't say on here, but the 20-year anniversary of them making Star Wars The Clone Wars Lego. So that'll be really cool. You'll see me make that in a bit. And last time, at 75 subscribers, made these guys. It's a big passion of mine. If you want to see a bit more on that, you can check out the video, which I will link at the end, maybe down below, depending on how much time I have to edit things. And if not, even put it up somewhere in the video right now. So thanks, guys. I'll give you a bit of context if anyone's not familiar of what I'm doing right now, who I am, and then I'll give you a few of my thoughts on like things I've been learning, and maybe that'll be helpful for you guys to give you the background first of like who I am. And real quick, I'm gonna hang up I've got my Canadian flag. I do love the old design before the maple leaf, just to throw that out there. And then I've got my Ontario flag, because that's where I live. Love that. I hope you guys can see that. And I used to have an American flag and a Canadian flag. And at some point when I was homeless, sorry, I shouldn't throw those probably. I gave them away at some point. But I love the US. I live in Canada right now. I hope to move to the US, and that's a good segue into like what I'm doing, where I'm at. I love my country, love Canada. I just really value the United States and their Constitution. I think they have a lot of great values, an amazing chance at running a business. We do too here in Canada, very much more so, I would say. In the US, it's one of the best places to own a business, to own land, to live a life, to raise a family, to be Christian. And yeah, I just love it. I would love to move there. I would love to live between both places, because I have my friends, my community here. I still love my country very much. And for a long time, I've been an American at heart, but I've learned to really grow to love my country too, because for a long time I was very disgruntled with it and very amazed and pleased with the American dream and seeing how people got to live that out on top of good business and stuff, their love of freedom and civil discourse. For all the reasons we might say, they don't really do that. There's so much behind their history, which does include those things that I really value. And I think they're doing a great job of still doing to this day, preserving history, being a positive force for the world, for all their faults. I think America is an amazing country, and so is Canada. This is the year 2024, as you know, for anyone living around this time, or if you're watching this way in the future, if you studied this time, that's cool. It's pretty rough. We've got a lot of great things. We've got great technology, great opportunities. If you work hard, these are countries where you can win. You can make a lot of money. You can make a good life for yourself. There's class mobility. There is huge problems with like mortgages and the cost of living, the cost of mortgages, the cost of food, the cost of tuition, school tuition. A lot of people are going other ways with that because we have the internet. People can learn so much. People can start their own businesses. People can have better skill sets than people going to school in many ways. If people who don't go to school just work a lot, if they study a lot, if they're very passionate, if they try to practice their people skills, and the list goes on and on. That's less of what I'll talk about in this, but maybe in the future we'll talk about it. I do have a video I'm writing saying like I'm 22 in the year 2024 and giving you the rundown of, man, a lot of people my age, my generation, are really discouraged and they're really beat down with serious issues, but they can do so much good, is how I bring it all together in the end. So keep an eye out for that if that interests you. Now, what am I doing now? I am 22, as I just mentioned. I'm a Catholic Christian. I converted to Christianity when I was 18. By the time I was 19, I converted to Catholicism because I believe what the Catholic Church says, which is that she's the church founded by Christ, containing the fullness of the Christian faith. And I encourage you all to check it out. And you'll find, excuse me, Catholic or not Catholic, if you've been around Catholic circles, you know some are better than others. That's the way the world goes. I hope none of you are discouraged to the point of never wanting to return, or even discouraged at all. But I know the reality is, even for myself, I try to go to Mass every day. I try to go to church every day. I'm mostly involved in social events that revolve around Catholic circles of people. I'm super discouraged all the time. I'm like, wow, come on, guys. Like, we could do that better. We could celebrate the liturgy better. We could be more charitable. We could not be so rigid. We could follow the rules more. Like, and not following the rules for rules' sake. That's something I talk about a lot. But following it because those rules that I'm thinking of here are really good for us and important for us and lead us to happiness. And that's another big thing I'm discovering. Speaking of happiness, is seeing the Christian life through what's going to make us happy. And that's not my own interpretation on things. This goes back to the saints. This goes back to Augustine, to St. Thomas Aquinas, the greatest, some if not all of the greatest authors concerning the faith talk about what makes you happy. And there's a treatise on happiness, and all these things are beautiful. And I'm getting to learn that and experience that. And I want to share it with you guys. And obviously our Lord is the end all be all of the Christian life, and what God has to teach, or what Christianity has to teach, is ultimately found in our Lord Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God, yet fully God himself, fully man, fully God. It's a great mystery because we believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit as distinct but not separate persons, all co-eternal. They've all existed forever, and they are all fully God. And it's a beautiful mystery. It's a beautiful mystery. So, trying to live with God, the Holy Trinity, have a relationship with all the persons of the Trinity. The Godheads or persons are ways we can call the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Having a relationship with Mother Mary, praying the Rosary every day. Just made a long video on that. It was supposed to be a short video, and I just kind of like was throwing stuff at you to consider. But pray the Rosary, go to Mass, all these things I'm trying to do. And it's something you just kind of have to experience, not getting in my own head too much. And that leads me to what I'm really passionate about after what I just mentioned, which is a very strong foundation to place your faith on. And it's also still the case that faith in God, a relationship with Jesus Christ, a relationship with the Catholic Church, the sacraments, is a foundation in itself. I'm talking about another aspect of the foundation, which is our lives outside of those things. And really, we should always hopefully have a relationship with God. Just like if a good husband and wife, they go away, let's say dad goes to work, mom stays home with the kids, or mom runs out to do errands, or mom goes to work, whatever the case is, one goes to the gym, one goes to see friends, one takes the kids to something, they both take the kids to something, they spend time together, they spend time apart. Even when they have time apart, we would say they still have a relationship with each other. And with God, we have an even more intimate relationship than a husband and wife have with each other. Or at least we don't maybe have it, but that is what God calls us to. And that's a great mystery. And a lot of people have a lot of wounds with that. And so this part of the foundation I'm talking about helps with healing those wounds when we look at God the Father, for example, and we have distrust in our hearts. Or when we just have a deep, deep wound where we don't even believe in God. Because look at the world around us. It's so horrible. All these things. There's so many arguments. I'm just giving some general ones. But this foundational part that complements all of that and can heal all that and guide all that is seeing the person as God created them. Now, maybe that's kind of hard if you don't believe in God, but hear me out. There's something called theology of the body, which Pope St. John Paul II, a great pope around the turn of the century, he wrote in 1960 a book called Love and Responsibility, which I have right here. Oh, and that's Karol Wojtyła. Then, I believe this is him still as a cardinal. No, I'm not sure. Maybe that's him as a pope already. I think it is. But he wrote this book when he was still cardinal in the Catholic Church. And he synthesized so much of the Christian tradition of what our Lord Jesus taught. And he put it so succinctly. Like, when you see professional sports players at a new level, when you see scientists or leaders in any field at a new level where they've synthesized everything in their field and even broadened it, yet made it simple and communicable, that's like what theology of the body is. And so this whole person approach, one way you could say it, the way I've generally up to this point been describing it, is like combining psychotherapy with physical therapy. So like in the industry you would call it table work, like fascial massage, mobilizing things, having someone do work on your body. And that can be brought into a whole host of physical treatments that maybe are partly used by practitioner and tool or machine, and a practitioner operates them, or it's fully the practitioner, like in massage. And then you've got physical exercise, actually moving. And then you've got the theology and the view of, let's call it spirituality or prayer, or that deeper interior life. That's all kind of one thing. I just used a bunch of synonyms for it. But when I usually tell people what I'm doing, I say I'm studying these things so I can combine them: psychotherapy, physical exercise, and theology, specifically theology of the body, because I believe it synthesizes the whole of the theological tradition, which theology just means the study of God. And that maybe doesn't sound exciting, but if you think so, I'm here to change your mind. And I'm here to say you've probably had not great teachers or not great impressions left on you by people or cultures, and I'm very sorry about that. But it is really exciting. And theology of the body is a phenomenological approach. We look at the person in order to better understand God. We're looking at ourselves, who are not only God's creation, but created in the image and likeness of God. That's something Christians believe that's very, very unique, and it's very beautiful. And we could talk about that all day. So you have all these things, which all make up the human person, and I would very much like to study them, get the foundations of all of them, and be able to, how would you say, bring the person back to life. Because what is death? Death is the separation of body and soul. We can do that in our spirituality. We can do that in our culture, leaning towards over-spiritualizing or over carnalizing things. Like, some synonyms could be animalism versus angelism, or over-focusing on temporal things versus spiritual things. And those extremes are not the whole picture. They're not ultimately true, because if you go to an extreme, you're missing part of the picture. And extremes as in extremes that lack part of the picture. That's what makes them an extreme, is you're taking one part of the picture, let's say angelism, and you're over-spiritualizing stuff, and you're cutting out the importance of the human person being body and soul. You miss the body part, and then you're left with part of the truth. It ceases to be the truth if you present it as the whole truth. So let's say, if I said, all that matters is your soul. Looking after your body, not doing bad things with your body, not doing good things with your body, not making good choices with your body, not respecting other people's bodies. And what is that saying? it's specifically trying to say like the person is body and soul. They don't have a body. So when you objectify someone in a bodily way, you're objectifying them. You're not just objectifying their body. They don't have a body, they are a body. And so if you ignore all that stuff and you just focus on the spiritual and all you care about is the person's soul, that's no longer the truth because you've cut out something. Now, to have an emphasis on the soul and say like, let's look after the good of your interior life. Well, that's complemented by good things we can do with our bodies, like exercise, seeing friends, going outside into nature, working hard, resting, sleeping, eating good food. The list goes on and on and on. Drinking water, having an ice cream. I prefer gelato once in a while. Whatever those things are, but emphasizing and focusing on individual parts of the person, that's not the bad thing. The bad thing is when you fully divorce them and then you get death. Death is the separation of body and soul. It's sad that it happens. It shouldn't happen. It's not what God originally intended, but it is sadly the result of sin in the world. But bring it all together, and essentially you're giving like life to medicine, to sciences, because all those things are science. Theology is a science. Philosophy is a science. Math is a science. Science is a science. When I say science, people think more biology, physics, hard sciences, as we would call them, maths. Physical exercise is a science. Physical therapy is a science. But it's not so much that science means they're super, all empirical, all have exact answers and one answer for everything. It's not like school. There's many answers to many different things in different fields. 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 is not 10. That's something where there is one right answer. But then in other areas where it's like, how do I deal with this problem of this person I care about in my life who I want to be friends with, but they kind of do some weird stuff or do some hurtful stuff. That has so many different answers. It needs so much circumstance of like, well, what does your life look like? What does your relationship with this person look like? What are the bad things you're seeing? Why do you want to be with this person? There's so much behind it. Whereas 4 plus 4 is like 8. Simple. And you might want to stick with that because it's so simple and I totally get that. But regardless, another thing I'm passionate about is that everything can become simple. You can become good at everything. Hopefully it's not bad things. Hopefully it's good things. Hopefully you practice virtue. And virtue is a lot of different things, but in the short run, it's the things that are going to make you, or can be described as a lot of different things. But in the short run, virtue is what is going to make you happy. Another way you could say that is, what is it that I'm supposed to do with this desire, with this circumstance, with these emotions, with the options I have? What is morally right? And what is morally wrong is all those things that aren't going to make us truly happy. Sins don't make us happy. And so distilling the Christian understanding to just right and wrong in terms of morality being what you can do and what you can't do is not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying. The rules are there. I think of them in a finite way. And this is what I want to share with people. This is what I want to learn along the way. And this is what I've learned so far. You've got those rules, and they allow you to flourish if you follow them. And as I think it's St. Paul writes, so that you are free from the law. It doesn't mean you're free to break the law. So for example, the laws like the 10 Commandments, to honor God, to not commit sins of adultery, to not take the Lord's name in vain, to honor the Lord on the Sabbath. So those are some examples of the law, but those things are there to make you happy. They're there to give you a good life. And when you don't need those laws anymore, like if you're not someone who, this is a great example, one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. If you're not someone who struggles with the temptation to kill people, you don't per se need that commandment because you're not wanting to violate it. So too, if you live a virtuous life, if you work hard at things, and ultimately if you surrender to God. And that's a whole other topic I love sharing with people. And especially to that point, I love the topic of God loving you right now in your mess. That's at the heart of Christianity. If we miss that, we miss the whole gospel. Because if you go around believing anything less than God loves me perfectly right now, and any gospel less than that ceases to be the gospel, because the Lord showed us that by dying for us. He poured out everything for us. He opened the gates of heaven for us. All the times we wrong him, starting from our first parents, Adam and Eve, and all the ways we wrong each other, all the ways we wrong ourselves. And God comes and he says, I will help you. I will be your friend. I will be your healer. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to offer you myself. I'm going to totally, lovingly sacrifice myself to you. And you might hear people talk about grace. A way I like to define that is grace is God's freely given gift to you of himself. And God is love. He doesn't love. He doesn't do things with power. He doesn't have wisdom. He is wisdom. He is almighty. He is love. And so God's gift of himself, to really go right for the jugular, God's grace is God's gift of himself. God's grace, more specifically, is God's gift of love. And that's a whole deep thing we could get into, but I hope that paints a great picture. So I've touched on a few things. The whole person, and all those different parts, like physical therapy, physical exercise, psychotherapy, theology, all bound up, not bound up maybe, but set free by solid philosophy as a foundation. All those things I love learning about, all those things I love doing. Then you've got the healing aspects, you've got the integration, these different parts of us that seemingly want different things, that are unsettled, that when we get in a quiet place without anyone around, we're like, I am not at peace, I am disturbed. That's just one example among many. All these things, to me, are like the most amazing things. They're great, deep, profound questions, and yet it all comes back to a relationship with God, with yourself, and with others. All those things point towards ourselves, our happiness, other people, and our relationship with other people, and our mutual happiness and their happiness, and God, ultimately God, and our perfect relationship with him. And our perfect relationship isn't so perfect right now. If you're on earth, stuff's rough. So don't worry if you're thinking like, man just said perfect. Not even close. Or even if you think you are perfect or close to perfect, wherever you're at, if you look around, something's seriously wrong. And yet God is here with this mystery, or not with this mystery, but in this mystery of suffering, saying like, I give myself to you entirely. That's a great summary of the Gospels of Jesus Christ, that he is come. And though there's much to say about repentance, there's much to say about what we do with God's help. First and foremost, there is, like Mary, saying yes to the angel Gabriel when God sends a message with him, with the angel Gabriel to Mary to say, will you be the mother of God? And she says, let it be done unto me according to your word. That's kind of like the starting place of the gospel, you could say. So too in our lives, saying, be it done unto me. Yes, Lord, I'm open to your love. That's kind of like the starting place of any conversion, of any truth seeking, of any beauty that we'll find. There's so much beauty, there's so much good, there's so much truth in the world, but without the Lord, and even with the Lord, we can make our own mistakes and miss the mark. And that's what sin means. That's really a helpful thing. Sin means missing the mark, and I'm very passionate about virtue, which is hitting the mark. What are we made for? What do we want? And it's not like some like one answer thing, aside from God being like the greatest answer to what we truly desire. And what's wrong with the world? Well, it's a lack of goodness. Who is goodness itself? It's God. What do we desire? Love. Who is love? God. And so I can do that all day. Circle. Like, do you want justice? Who is justice? God. Do you want peace? Who is peace? God. You know, like, just keep going and going, bringing it back to God. And another helpful point, just since this is very key to understanding my perspective and the Catholic perspective, is St. Thomas Aquinas, not the Apostle St. Thomas, but St. Thomas Aquinas from like the 1200s, an Italian theologian who's regarded as like the greatest theologian of all time in the Catholic Church. Certainly he's up there on my list. Is evil, when he defined it, evil is the absence of good. It's not its own thing. It doesn't have an essence. Evil is always dependent on goodness. And when goodness lacks in any way, that is what we call evil. And you can think of this of like anything wrong in the world, like kids starving. What is the good that's lacking? Food, a stable economy, maybe father figures, maybe a lush and providing ecosystem so that they can get food, ease of access to food, the tools to get food. It goes on and on and on. The stability, like if they're in a war, there's a lack of stability, there's a lack of peace, there's a lack of healthy compromise, there's a lack of etc., etc., etc. That's just one example. You can name a whole bunch of things. If you're stuck in bed watching YouTube all day, there's great things about YouTube. It's very enjoyable. You can find great content on there. Now let's say you're watching great content, not even to get into like you're not watching good content, but you're on there all day. What's lacking? Well, you're not doing other things. You maybe are addicted to whatever you're watching, or you're so into it that you really don't want to get out of bed, and so you spend your whole day in bed. So the goodness that's lacking there is maybe like doing other things. Maybe you haven't eaten, and so you're extra like moody. Another good thing that's lacking is good mood, joy, a full tummy of good food. You know, there's so many things. Friends might be lacking. A good environment might be lacking, and so you're inclined to be on YouTube. And balance in your life. What are you supposed to be doing today? Are you employed? Do you have work? Is this a rest day for you? Are you really resting? Maybe there's a lack of a good way to rest, and so you're trying to find your rest in YouTube, in watching videos. You're trying to decompress through this thing that's supposed to be entertaining, but then you get these videos that, although they're good, they're maybe serious or talking about issues in the world, or you're not really resting. There's so many examples and all of that you can find of a lack of good. And so I'm here to be like, you can do it. You know, like whatever you've been up against, whatever you are up against, whatever you might go up against that's evil, to go right for the jugular and call it evil when we're talking about anything that's lacking good, any suffering. Because suffering is also a form of evil. Any of that you can overcome with the Lord, and you are so strong. And you maybe are in a place where you can't receive that, or you can receive that, or even where that's exactly what you need to hear. There's so much for each person to dive into, and I'm hopefully going to give you guys just a buffer, a loving hand to guide you on the good path of life, and to encourage you that, like, no matter what you're going up against, you can have a great life. And that's one of the things I've learned, that transitioning from like what I'm interested to. And earlier, give a bit more background here. Earlier I was saying I was homeless. That's when I didn't get my flags, or when I originally gave away my flags. And that's a big part of my story. Having few friends, having a lot of failed relationships, being homeless, doing stuff I totally regret, where I'm just like, oh God, I would be happier if those things never happened. And of course, that's not, at the same time, there's a fine line. That's not to say like God doesn't know best. It's not to say that things would totally be better if those bad things didn't happen, and specifically if those bad things didn't happen, that I would still be the same good man that I am, that I would have learned the same lessons that I am, that I have from those bad things, that I would have met the same people. Like, there's so much to everything that happens in our lives, and I'm very grateful for even the things I've done wrong. And that, I'm not always grateful for it, you know. It's like, oh boy, I wish I never did that. But grateful in the sense that God brings good things out of evil, and I'm trying to live a good life and trying to accept the Lord's love and see and love how he sees, and praying that he does that for me. That's a great prayer. And yeah, I've been through a lot of struggles with all kinds of stuff, like you name it, all kinds of stuff. And I'm sure I can relate to you, and that you could hopefully relate to me. And when I say I'm sure I can relate to you, it's in no way to trivialize what you've been through. Maybe I can't relate to you, but I want you to know you're not alone, and that someone understands you. And there's a lot of people who understand me, or understand you and understand me more than we realize. And there's a lot of people who try their best and mess up that we wish would do better. And there's so much, like, good and bad and wounded and uplifted hearts and parts of us that are uplifted or wounded or downtrodden or struggling up the mountain to glory and to good things and virtue and your goals and your dreams. And never dream too small. That's another thing I've learned. And all these things I want to share with you and guide you on. But I hope you know that, like, you can do it. You can do it. And more than anyone, the Lord's rooting for you. To get into some more practical lessons, although those I think are super practical lessons, like the fact that no matter how much you're struggling, you can achieve your dreams. You can become, even if you're trying and trying and trying and falling and falling and falling and messing up and not getting where you want to be, or it takes a lot longer to get even to the first step, I still believe in you, and the Lord believes in you. And this isn't some, like, it'll all be fine and work out the way you want it to. It'll be so much better. But it's never, I shouldn't say never. It's not necessarily going to be the way we think that things pan out. It's not necessarily going to be the things we think we were going to achieve. It's not necessarily the timeline in which we think we're going to achieve it. It's not necessarily the person we envisioned we would be. But going in the right direction is so important. And any good thing takes a lot of time, a lot of preparation. But you can learn to love that each step of the way and love your life in each moment. And that's a beautiful topic. Loving yourself. All that stuff. Again, comes back to a relationship. With who? With yourself, with others, with God. And with yourself, not in a split way, but in an integrated way. How do I treat myself? Because the reality is, I have a relationship with myself. I'm one person. But if you look at it, where, like, I could eat a bunch of chips that are, like, the worst quality chips, very unhealthy, lots of chemicals, or I could spend a bit of money, get some nice takeout that's healthy. And even if it's maybe fried here or there, it's a lot better than just straight chemical chips. Maybe I'll have some vegetables. Maybe I'll cook some stuff for myself. That is one example, and you can think of many more, I hope, of a relationship with yourself. What am I feeding myself? How am I looking after myself? And then there's another aspect of, like, well, if you're, like, really depressed and you can't bring yourself to just do the other options of getting takeout even, not to mention cooking for yourself, and you just got these chips, maybe that's a great move for you because at least you're eating something. There's so much to each person, to each circumstance. And maybe there's someone going, like, did he really just give an example of people who struggle so much that all they can do is eat potato chips? I have no concept of that in my own life. No idea of what that's like. Totally get it. No worries. Hopefully I'll provide some value for you. And in the future, I hope to not in the future, but continuously, yes, in the future as well, to just give like great stuff to you guys, help you in whatever ways I can help you. Which reminds me, please put in the comments what questions you guys have for me that you would like me to answer. I might not answer them all, but I really would like for the next video, which I don't know if I'll do at 125 subscribers, because I had just 75 and made that 75 subscribers like 2 weeks ago. So it went kind of fast. Thank you guys. And if I do make it, or if I make it at 150 or whatever it is, I really want to have some content to give you guys that you would find meaningful, and engage with you guys and actually have that relationship with my audience. And right now I'm just kind of shooting out in the dark. Like, this is what I do. This is what I'd like to do. And there's great people out there. And they've really, even people I don't know, people on YouTube, there's great people out there. And they've made me like put no cap on my dreams. And so I'm like, man, I want it all. I want to do all this stuff with the full view of the person. I want to have my own business. I want that to go really well. For all the failings I've so far encountered, am encountering, and will encounter, that's part of the process. You're not failing so much as learning, is one way to see it. You see the good in light of the bad. That's a great lesson I've learned. No, not that. Sorry. You see the bad in light of the good. And I think that's how God sees. God sees himself, who is goodness itself. God sees the good he's created, the good person that he's created. Because in the Bible, when it says God created this and that on this day, it was good. He creates humans. What does the Bible say? And God saw that they were very good. Like, out of everything he created, he put an emphasis on the goodness of the person who is created in the image and likeness of God. And I love upholding the dignity of the person for all the ways I fail at it. Don't love that. And that's a good example of the struggle within us and how we're unintegrated and we're sinful and we're broken and we need healing and we need God's love. All of that. I want to learn about it. I want to share it. I want to increasingly get better at conveying it to people, at finding solutions for people, at understanding the gospel, at understanding God. Out of all these great revelations that I've received, and by revelations I received, I just mean like things I've worked through with God. Not necessarily like the light parted through my room and Jesus was like, yo, what's up? This is what you're supposed to say on YouTube. It's more like 4 years of that, or even my whole life of that, of like seeking the good, because we're all seeking the good. We're all seeking what's beautiful. We're all seeking what's true. And yet, we're so unhappy with the things we're often picking. And so what's going to make us happy? That's the journey I'm on. And believe me, there's times where I'm like, I don't want to do this. There's times where I'm like, if I have started this YouTube channel and then something really goes wrong, maybe I'm not going to keep doing it, because maybe I'll be so destroyed. My path will change so much that I'll stop doing it. But there's another lesson. Take it one day at a time. Try to have a good day today. And not miss those little things like praying to the Lord. And what is praying? It's talking. It's hanging out with, having a relationship with God. If I do that in the morning, throughout the day, pray the rosary, all that stuff. Have good friends. Pray for good friends. Day by day, little by little, poco a poco. Just work towards it, step by step. Run, walk, speed walk, walk backwards, whatever I'm doing. Just trying my best. And of course, the Lord helps us with our best. And that takes time to get even better, because you think like, well, I converted, or I put everything in the hands of God and I'm still making these mistakes. Healing's a process. Growing's a process. Getting better is a process. Becoming a master is a process. And I want to master a ton of things. I want to do a bunch of sports. I want to make so much money. And not so much because I think it's going to make me happy to have money, but it's what I can do with the money. The investments I can make in my community, in myself, in my learning, in others, in providing good work for others, in opening up new opportunities, good opportunities in work and education and healing. Like, I want to open centers for this thing I'm talking about, where you have the whole person view of like the mind, body, spirit. And I would say relationships, because I think that fourth one, mind, body, soul, people talk about all the time, but then relationships, that is something I feel like needs its own category, because it's so potent in the human heart, in the human experience, that it cannot be underemphasized. And like I say, that seems to me of like the most important things of Christianity, of existence. And Christianity really is just like the school of life, the fullness of how to live life. That's how I understand Christianity. That's how I understand Catholicism, which I believe is the fullness of Christianity. So saying that, I'm saying Catholicism is like the fullness of life. And it's hard. I make a lot of mistakes. I hope none of you judge Catholicism or even the good messages I have by me. Like, I'm doing my best. I'm trying to be a light, but you know, I make my mistakes, and I'll make a lot of mistakes along the way. And I hope I keep going, to what I was saying earlier. Like, what if stuff really goes wrong and I don't want to keep going? At this point, I plan to keep going forever. And opening lots of businesses, good businesses, making good publicity for the Christian message, for a message of love, a message of peace, a message of strength, and like becoming strong and capable, and yet being a good person. And all the specific things I want to do, like the different sports, learning gymnastics. You guys might have seen I'm doing calisthenic videos, and so that could be applied to a lot of different skills, like the various skills in gymnastics, like on the rings, on the parallel bars. That could be applied to breakdancing. That could be applied to so many different things. And I want to do so many different things. And if I make a lot of money, I can pay people to teach me how to do those things. I can make it into videos that I put on social media, show people my journey, talk about the struggles, talk about what I find works, hopefully encourage people, hopefully just, even if it's a little, even if it's a good message, just have that in their lives. Like, I'm not saying like you gotta watch me and change your life for the better, but that is the best case scenario, is if everyone changes their life for the better and God speaks to them in his loving, fatherly, brotherly, best friend way to you, savior way to you. Because that's who he is, and that's kind of what my whole shtick hinges on. Because that's the crown of everything. That's the ultimate throne in my heart, in all this cool stuff I want to do, is God. And yeah, keep at it, guys. That's what I've learned. Like, you very well may make a lot of mistakes and have to do it over and over, day after day after day, for a long time, but find ways to make it fun, good ways to make it fun, things you enjoy, and try to find good friends. Pray for good friends. Talk to the Lord every day. Pray that he keeps you close to his sacred heart, and to his mother's immaculate heart, and to Father Joseph's chaste heart, and the hearts of your patron saints. And it keeps going, what I could say on those terms, but staying close to the Lord. And cliffhanger. Sorry guys, my phone, like my first thank you to my subscribers video, my phone died. And so that was the last video I made, the 75 subscribers. And it did it again. My phone died. Live and learn. Essentially, all I can remember what I was saying after that, without watching the whole 45 minutes through, was just that I was going to mass and I was going to pray for you guys. And probably if I didn't say it in the last video, I would have, or the last recording, I would have wanted to say it to you, is please pray for me. So now I'm going to go make this. I know I said I would make this one by my 100 subscribers, but I thought it'd be cool, because then if I made Captain Rex, it would match up nicely with the 501st. Hopefully you can see them over here. And I'll show you them somewhere on the screen or at the very end, or both. Probably both. And yeah, that'll be cool. And I'll add this so that they can all kind of stand up and not constantly get knocked over. And you'll also see me put up these fellas, the American flag and the Ontario flag. It's going to be rough, but we'll do it and see how it goes for now. And I got these on sale at Mastermind for 150 subscribers. Although I think I'm going to do... I'll probably do one of these. I'm not sure yet which order I'll do it in, but I probably won't do one at 125 subscribers. As a thank you, I am grateful. But originally I thought it would go slower, and at the time of recording this part of the 100 subscriber thank you, I'm already at 109 subscribers, and 2 weeks ago I just passed 75. So that's what I'm thinking behind there. And yeah, let's go.
So do you want to go to adoration? Will you hike this nation alone, or would you like to go it alone, or would you like to go with me? 'Cause I'd like you to see all the memories that I hope for to share with you. So do you want to go to adoration? Will you hike this nation alone, or would you like to go?
Look at this. Ha ha ha. Oh, that's so cool. Nice.
Or would you like to go with me? 'Cause I'd like you to see.
Oh, there you have it. That's pretty cool. I've got Captain Rex, an officer of the 501st, a special heavy 501st, I think, another one, the artillery, and a specialist. And I just clipped them on here. I've never had one of these boards. They're really cool. On the bottom, they're not what I would expect. They're actually like... This guy's gonna fall. Yep. They're actually very different. That's not what I expected, but that's really cool. Like different from a normal like Lego piece. But yeah. That's awesome. I'm really happy with that. And I already shot out the things there and there, and I just keep the extra parts in the box for now because I don't have anything else to put them in, but also because I lost Rex's thingamajig. Okay, looks like he wears it on the right side. Yeah, so I just keep the extra parts, and I don't keep the things that shoot because I don't want to lose them by accident or just have them flying all over the place. That'd be kind of annoying. And yeah, I just put the extra single pieces on to hold the I don't know what you call these, but like the machine parts, like not the minifigures, but the individual like sets to hold them on, and that way I can take them on fairly easily, and put them on and off, and they'll stay on and they'll come off easily if I want them to. Nice. Ho ho! Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks very much for watching. The room's looking pretty different. Also, another thing I'm going to get more of are these plants. I call this the seaweed plant. It's got another name, but I forget. It's like a crunchy plant or something. No, I don't have the label handy, but they're supposed to be like low maintenance, but specifically I got it because, not specifically, first and foremost I got it because it's supposed to be good for the air quality. So I want to get more of those, and I don't know much about plants. I want to learn more, but for now, and from what I know about elementary school biology, plant biology, I figure it is probably doing what they say and helping the air quality. So that's really cool. You only need to water it like once a week, and it needs non-direct sunlight, so it's very low maintenance, which I really like. And there's Our Lady of Guadalupe. Got that just on a table at some church when they give stuff away. And yeah, there's the Lego guys. Yep. Oh, pretty cool. And I'll open my next one at 150 subscribers. Guys, thank you so much. I didn't think it would go this fast. And even if it doesn't go fast, 150 subscribers, I really appreciate it. I don't think I'll do this one next. I think, and this one is the Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack. I'm presuming from the show The Mandalorian, which I don't watch. I don't really watch many shows, but I do watch the parody of like the deep fakes of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin Skywalker watching their shows. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's a series on YouTube that this guy makes, and he does deep fakes of like Lord of the Rings and stuff. It's so funny. I love it. And it's deeply it's deeply nerdy, you could say, to Star Wars. And then there's this one, which I got two of. And when I was talking in the last video, not the last video, but before you guys saw me make this and put up the flags, what I was meaning to say was that I got it at Mastermind, and Mastermind Toys specifically for Lego has cheaper prices for Star Wars Lego. Specifically for Star Wars Lego. Not just for Lego, for Star Wars Lego specifically. And on weekends and certain like weeks out of each month, or I forget kind of how they do it, they have discounts on random stuff in the store. And so these were cheaper than most stores. Like I went to Toys R Us initially to get these ones, or to get the 501st and the Ambush on Mandalore, but they're even cheaper at Mastermind Toys. So there's this that was on sale and is on sale until like the 28th. I don't know if you guys would have Mastermind Toys near you, but there you go. That's where I get it. And I got two of them because they were on sale. And I'm big on getting stuff on sale. Obviously, that's not the smartest financial decision. The best thing you can do, I mean, specifically, like if you just try to save money everywhere by buying stuff cheaper, that's not a small deal over time. It adds up, but it's not like the end-all be-all of good financial decisions. Obviously, you want to make more money than you're spending, which I say because anyone out there watching in a first world needs to practice budgeting. Most people aren't taught that stuff. Most people need the reminder, just like saying, like, hey man, you don't need to go out and drink all night and do stuff you regret. Like, just maybe you know it, but the way you live doesn't line up with it, and it's good to just give those reminders. And so I say that in a non-judgmental, loving, brotherly way, and hope you take it that way. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And obviously this is a bit temporary. Maybe not obvious. Maybe you thought I was going to leave it like this, but I really like the flag setup. I see I already have to fix the Canadian flag, but this is the Ontario flag. Most of you probably know this is the American flag. Like I was saying, I want to move there. I love the States. And yeah, I'm digging the room setup. It's really cool. I can't really do much more than that. Like I can't put holes in the wall, or maybe I'll get something sticky to stick the flags up with. But I'm pretty happy with that. I'll fix this. Obviously, this is slanted and it wasn't before, but I'll fix it. And yeah, thanks guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Let me know any questions, and God bless you.
Me with him who loved you first. So do you want to go to adoration? Will you hike this nation alone, or would you like to go